No sports topic is out of bounds. You found the MN Sports Blitz. Along with former Minnesota Vikings linebacker Chad Greenway, here's Joel Niemeyer.
Hey, welcome back. It's the MN Scorefeed Blitz. I'm Joel. That is Chad. A very good day to you, sir.
Hey, Joel. Yeah, doing well. Thanks for having me back on.
And we chatted a little bit about this last week, but boy, it just gets more exciting. Once now you're in the calendar year month of March. This is just a really fun time. I know the high school hockey tournament, huge crowds down at the high school hockey tournament, high school basketball championship season coming up here. This is a fun high school time.
It is, yeah. It's fun on the app right now because there's so much activity and so much going on in the Scorefeed app. It's fun because you get to the playoff brackets. You can kind of see how it's gonna pair out and who you're gonna play. And with my daughter being in sections right now, it's a lot of fun and exciting to still be a part of the tournament and hoping for one more victory to make it there.
Well, I had that written down. I got to give some love to your daughter and her team. They've had a fantastic season, and hey, hopefully they can do more. And I bet you the Greenways wouldn't mind at all going down into downtown Minneapolis and seeing a state basketball game.
Yeah, it'll be pretty. We're hopeful. Obviously, got a big win last night in the section semifinals over Maranatha, and then we have one game left. It'll be against Holy Family on tomorrow night. So, a couple of really good teams, highly ranked 2A teams. So it'll be a great game. Obviously, as a dad, you just want to sit back and watch your kid do what she loves and enjoy it, and hope she can do her best.
I think I might have asked you this before, but it's been a while, so maybe some listeners haven't heard this. But for you, is it more stressful, sitting in the stands, being a dad like you are now, or is it more stressful, tie game, Vikings and whoever down in the fourth quarter? Was it more stressful playing or being a dad?
I think it's a lot more stressful being a dad. You're in the stands. You can't control too much other than just to cheer and hope your kid does well. And you see her, go through ups and downs. And you just want her to do her best, and you want her to prevail, obviously. And more than anything, you just want her to know that you're so proud of her. So it's hard to just kind of sit and watch, but it's fun. Your time is over. You got to sit back and let the kid take it from here.
And it's good that we actually have a sport that we can watch, because baseball you can't right now. MLB lockout nearing the 100-day mark. Games lost, and this lockout isn't good for anyone. Players, owners, and even us fans that want to watch some of these games.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Major League Baseball thing going on right now, and you're sort of frustrated as a fan. You're frustrated as a business owner. I mean, with our Grey Duck brands, we have the Grey Duck deck there in Target Field, and it impacts a lot of things, and more than just baseball. Obviously, from a fan perspective, you want baseball to start. I think Major League Baseball is a little tone deaf to where they're at in regards to their fandom. I mean, there's so many people in Twins territory that love our Minnesota Twins. There's no doubt about that. But you have to understand, as a wide look across Major League Baseball, is a lot of stadiums are not as full as they used to be, or not as full as they should be. And I think when you go through a labor dispute like this, it just turns a lot of people away and turns a lot of people off to other interests. And I think it's just something you got to be careful to look at, and you hope that people don't get just dismissive about the game, and they keep coming back and keep coming to stadiums. We know our Twins fans will be there because Twins territory is incredible. But in other markets, I got to believe it's going to be affected.
And you bring up a good point. One that I forgot to, for folks that don't know, Chad, you're involved in the Grey Duck vodka brand, and you guys, as you mentioned, have that stand out in the outfield. So how is that staffed by the Twins, or are you and that company having to do some different things to try and make it through this lockout?
So it's staffed by the bartenders that normally work that area. So they sort of, they obviously have our products on hand, and it's named, we have the naming rights for the space. But we utilize it quite a bit, with our own stuff, with our own celebrity bartenders. And I'm up there a few times for a few games, spending some time and enjoying it. So it's a fun way for us to really use our space and our investment in the Minnesota Twins to get people out to our space to enjoy the game. It's an unbelievable view from our little spot up there, a little porch on the left field corner. So we're hoping for we're hoping for a season as soon as possible. I saw they pushed it back to like April 24th, I think, the start of the season right now. So we're hoping the work stoppage is over here.
Well, I think speaking of the fans, yeah, I think everybody hopes that it's over. But the one thing I'm seeing, you just reading Twitter and Facebook and different social media areas, some fans A, don't care, and B, are just fed up and mad, and this could be a dangerous time for both owners and players.
I think so. I agree. I think people are fed up with it. I mean, I think people want to understand what's going on, and people want to have baseball. People don't want to deal with labor disputes. Normal folks that are going to work and raising a family and trying to make ends meet and pay bills, and I mean, going through the real part of life that really enjoy baseball, enjoy their teams. They want to see their teams play. They don't want to hear about some sort of labor dispute. They don't get into it too much on what goes one direction or the other. So I guess got to believe that. That it's off-putting to many people.
Let's talk a little football here as we wrap it up. I don't think we talked football last week. Last time we were chatting here, and there's been a few big deals, few big things happen. Number one, the trade earlier this week. Russell Wilson goes to the Broncos to quarterback that team. Do you like that deal for the Broncos?
It's crazy. I mean, it looks like they got quite the haul out in Seattle. But you get a quarterback that can help you win right now in Denver. You also get a quarterback that can buy his own private jet. So, I mean, you have to deal with a massive salary. You have to deal with that same issue that any other team that has a really good quarterback, is going to have, like the Vikings or the Packers or anybody has to pay a quarterback a bunch of money. So, I know when that salary cap came out and then they had the numbers, that obviously is when the trade went down and they kind of finalized it and formalized it to move forward. And I think, know George Payton really well, the GM of the Broncos. Very good guy. He's a smart guy. He's a planner. He understands. And I think they have a lot of weapons around him. And, I think what you basically do when you get a guy like Russell Wilson is you take a team and say, we're going to win right now. And we're going to be good enough because we have the quarterback and the defense and some other weapons. And they have all those things. So you got to like the move. I think Seattle, you look at that and some of the other moves they made beyond Russell Wilson and say, okay, they're going to hit the reset button here and see what happens. So, two franchises going in different directions. But in the NFL world, the crazy part is they could end up in the same place, right? They could both end up in the playoffs. And with Pete Carroll as the coach, you just never know out there on the West Coast because he can really coach them up. So I think Denver is an absolute player. And you want to talk about a conference right now or a division, the AFC West. Just take a look at that gauntlet of quarterbacks and teams. Incredible.
Well, and you mentioned the division. Every team now has elite quarterbacks, and the saying goes, and this is true for most sports, for football, basketball, hockey, whatever, that you got to win your division before you can win the title. So is this a case of Broncos seeing, okay, everybody's got quarterbacks, we need something to compete with those other teams?
Oh, absolutely it is. I mean, there's no question about it. You got to go get a guy that can win that division. I think that's what they went and did. I mean, and that's the reason you go do that. So, as much as Seattle got a haul, I mean, Denver's going to win right now and compete in that division, which is right now seemingly like it's going to be really tough and you're going to run through Kansas City.
The other big news in the NFL, Aaron Rodgers announces he is staying with the Packers for the next year. I would assume good for the Packers to have an elite quarterback, but to my knowledge, you correct me if I'm wrong, there's still a ton over the cap. So there's a lot of moves Green Bay's got to do.
There are. I mean, I think that's been the biggest issue is we just talked about with Russell Wilson is when you get a quarterback that has a massive salary and demands a lot of the salary cap, unless Rodgers is going to go be creative with his contract. You really be held to that number. So, which means you're betting everything on Rodgers being able to win you a title with a roster that's maybe not as strong. Now, I know they do have a young team in some areas. Can those guys step up and play? And I think that's been the issue in Green Bay for several years. Maybe even the better part of a decade is they can't put a better roster around Rodgers than other teams can have. And I think that's just been part of the story out there. And we're going to have a lot of these teams. Look at the Vikings. It's the same way. Is can you build a roster around a quarterback that demands a large number? And it's a challenge. And I think when the CBA got redone in 2011, it started to shift, and then again started to shift a few years ago with another negotiation to say, okay, the number in the salary cap is going up. It's a massive number, right? But all it does is it just pushes more dollars into the quarterback position and other, in pass rushing positions and a few others, but. It sort of creates a little bit of a divide in earnings, and it pushes all that salary into the quarterback, and you end up having the same issues anyways. It's just because that's where the salaries have gone for that position. And, I'm not arguing that it's wrong. I'm just arguing that the team's issues haven't really changed much.
Well, and also for the Packers, I know they franchised Devontae Adams. So that's two players that are getting massive salaries, which further complicates what you just were talking about, too.
Yeah, I know it. It's crazy because you got your best two players back on that football team, which I think everybody thought neither would be there next year. So what Green Bay's saying is I'm going to commit to 4 more years. I'm going to go win with the guys we have, these elite players. And I think everybody's going to wait to answer. Like, well, they didn't win it last year with those guys. They haven't won in the previous few years because the roster hasn't been good enough around them. What's different this year? And I think that's the question that has to be answered.
We'll wrap up with one Vikings question. Free agency coming up later on this month. Anyone out there that you see that would help the Vikings, or you would like to see the Vikings go after in free agency?
Oh, Joel, I've been so far away from who's becoming a free agent, I couldn't even tell you. What I think I want to see, just in general, so I'll speak in general terms because I haven't locked in on who's available and who's out there. But what I think you have to have when you shift over to a new regime is you just got to start building your foundation of who we are, right? We have several players in place that we know are going to be here that we love. Now you have to get pass rushers, and you look at last year and what failed under Zimmer was the ability to rush and cover. And the coverage would fail, and everybody's complaining at the DBs and about not being able to cover anybody, but then you don't have a pass rush. And so you need to have elite pass rushers in this day and age. It's just part of the deal. Part of what we just talked about from the salary cap standpoint is you got to have a few positions. You got to be able to rush the passer, you got to be able to cover, and you got to be able to throw the ball. And I think, that's what, we have a few gaps there in the back end and pass rushing where defensively we've got to shore it up. So that's where I would look. Offensive line help always has to come. That's just a constant. You have some elite skill players, so we're really pretty solid there offensively. You may want to look at tight end and see if you can do something there. But defensively is where I would look pretty hard and close and get some pass rushing because that's just an autumn. You look at the teams that played really well in the playoffs down the stretches. Those teams could all rush the passer. That defense that won the Super Bowl for the Rams. I mean, they could get stops and they could rush the passer and wreak havoc like they did on Burrow. So that's where I would look.
Sounds good. We'll chat again next time, Chad.
You bet. Yeah, Joel, congrats again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good. Thank you, Chad Greenway. I'm Joel Niemeyer on the MN Scorefeed Blitz.
The MN Sports Blitz has been produced by KDUZ, KARP, KGLB, and the Ingstad, Minnesota Radio Network. Complete episodes are available on our website and on YouTube.